We know that gameplay has been captivating us for centuries, right?
I think the magic ingredients is making the storylines as close to reality as possible. We realised that our workshops need to reflect real life scenarios and real life challenges.
Lewis and I are going to tell our story of how we evolved the murder mystery from really a fun idea into a commercial success. We'll discuss with you a couple of key topics around how we use gamification to create this learning experience, and also how it's transforming teams in the modern workplace.
From the city of Peaky Blinders, Birmingham, England, I would like to introduce you to Paddy Danda.
As the world becomes more automated and the robots take over, it's imperative that we build the right human skills for the future. So pull up a chair, grab a samosa or two, and make yourself very uncomfortable.
Dear friend, thank you so much for joining me today on the Superpower School podcast. I'm your host, Paddy Danda, and today I have a really cool topic for you. It's one that I'm personally really excited about because I use elements of these techniques in my workshops, but I'm sure today you're going to be inspired with lots of great ideas. I have two awesome people today who have a shared passion for gamification and team building. Imtiaz and Lewis created the Murder Mystery Experience, an immersive workshop that strengthens team dynamics through storytelling and strategic gameplay. Combining decades of experience delivering value to clients, they specialize in transforming teamwork challenges into opportunities for teams to reconnect, revitalize, and succeed in dynamic work environments. First of all, Imtiaz, welcome to the show. Hi, Paddy. Welcome. Thank you very much for having us, and really looking forward to this next few minutes with you. Oh, brilliant. And what's your favourite game as a kid? Can you remember your favourite board game? My favourite board game, probably Monopoly and chess, in a world before electronic games came out. Showing my age. Love it. So you're the money man and the strategic man. Right. And Lewis, welcome to the show as well. And what's your favourite board game from a childhood?
Well, I would actually change it from board game to, do you remember Buckaroo?
Yeah.
I absolutely love Buckaroo. To be fair. So I think I'll go with Buckaroo.
Love it. Love it. And that was a game where you had to be very patient. And it was all about putting little items on the little horse, and it would eventually throw everything off, wouldn't it?
Yeah, very, very much like Mousetrap as well, yes.
Oh, I love that. And which superpower would you like to bring to this particular episode?
We're going to surprise you here, Paddy, because myself and Imtiaz, we've talked about this many times, and we want to bring imposter syndrome as our superpowers. Okay. And I know you might be thinking imposter syndrome is kind of generally a negative kind of emotion, which it is, right? And I think all professionals struggle with imposter syndrome. But I think for contractors, myself and Imtiaz, we're obviously contractors, and we struggle most with it because we have to join new teams, join new contracts, join new employees. So it hits us in a big way. But we have discussed this many times, and what we find is if you can harness the imposter syndrome and actually make it drive you, then you exceed your expectations, your delivery is exceptional. So I would say imposter syndrome is our superpower.
I love that. So it's almost flipping what's seen as often a weakness into something positive that actually pushes you further. Love that.
Yes, exactly.
And I've definitely felt imposter syndrome many times myself. Yeah. So it's really about understanding how we can flip that switch as well. And look, you guys have created this awesome experience. It's an immersive workshop. I've been fortunate enough to be a fly on the wall whilst you've been running this particular workshop. And just for the audience, I'd love to get you to talk a little bit about what is it and who's it for? Because it's titled The Murder Mystery Experience, which is a great title. So, Imtiaz, you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. I guess we know that gameplay has been captivating us for centuries, right? Even as a child, we've mentioned a couple of games. And I remember on a Saturday night with family playing card games, Indian card games. And suddenly I saw my uncles and aunts transform from these lovely, cuddly characters that I adored into quite soft and wild, aggressive, forceful characters. And it changes, and they change throughout the game. And so this a take on that really, and murder mysteries have been captivating us just from the early days of the mystique around, the Ripper, to modern day classics when I was a child, like Agatha Christie, for example, to modern day mysteries we all know and love. And even the Scooby-Doo still resonates with kids and adults. And I still watch it with my kids. And my dad still enjoys watching it. So it resonates with generations. And really, what if solving a mystery could help us do our job better? That was the basic question we asked ourselves. And that's the idea behind the experience, really. A unique, immersive way to develop those critical business skills through gameplay. So really today, Lewis and I are going to tell our story of how we evolved the murder mystery from really a fun idea into a commercial success. And we'll discuss with you a couple of key topics around how we use gamification to create this learning experience, and also how it's transforming teams in the modern workplace.
Oh, brilliant. And look, you mentioned there about who doesn't like a good mystery or a puzzle. But why do you think murder mysteries have become so popular? Because I see them a lot. Like there's a lot of kind of team building experiences that people talk about, like the escape room, for example.
Yeah.
That's a prime example. Like my kids love those experiences. What's behind the whole pull as an individual?
Yes, I think people love puzzles, right? Our brains are wired for problem solving. Even from, like you've just mentioned, from a child, right? You've got the Gruffalo puzzle or you start children. And even as we get older, we still love, whether it's through games or chess or through work, it's wired into our brains. And like you said, escape rooms are so popular. True crime podcasts are equally as popular. And studies show, right, that that mystery solving activates part of our brain, including critical thinking, including cognitive flexibility, and much more. So it really kind of gets us going. But also for us in an era where we're glued to our screens, even at conferences, even at work, even now I could easily flip to my phone. It's a rare chance for us humans to interact, engage, and that's what we kind of bring. And if you can sharpen business skills whilst having a lot of fun, then it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, I love that. No one gets hurt, right? So like no one actually gets killed. So that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and I guess, for us, the inspiration came from attending conferences. So Lewis and I had been to many conferences over the past few years. I guess, being brutally honest, we and I think we were agreed on this, Lewis and I, we enjoying the death by PowerPoint experience. Just receiving information one way, it can be quite tiring, actually, just kind of hour by hour consuming information and not really being fully, partaking and immersed in the experience. But luckily, we chose to watch one afternoon, two blokes that changed our thinking. And instead of just a PowerPoint, these two lively, engaging chaps got up on stage in capes. I think you made you aware of them. You hadn't seen them before, Vaddy.
no one would do that. Like, come on.
Yes. And you guys captivated the audience for the entire time you were on stage. And that struck a chord with Lewis and I, and we thought, wow, really there is another way. We went away, did a bit of brainstorming, a bit of soul searching. And apart from our joint love for football, the one thing that we both love is a good mystery, a good murder mystery, a good puzzle to solve, right? And I guess we're BAs at heart. And we thought, well, what if we make people work together to actually solve a crime? And that was kind of the foundings of what we've created. But what we didn't really expect, if we're being really honest, is how quickly people immerse themselves in the experience. We over alibis, forming alliances, improving teamwork and other skills that people had. That's, I guess we saw an opportunity to, instead of just a game, we thought actually this could be a real world business tool for leadership, collaboration, decision making, skills enhancement, and much more.
Love that. I'm very humbled by the kind words as well, folks, but I'm sure.
Inspirational. Paddy, you are inspirational.
Oh, dude, no, I really appreciate that. And look, we all seek inspiration from lots of people around us, and we're always being inspired. So it's great. Like now, you guys are inspiring us, and it's a constant experience, I think, of learning, isn't it? So it's great to see what you guys are doing. And Lewis, I'd love to know, how do you come up with these storylines or your murder mystery experience? Because it's really tough to keep people engaged. And I've seen a lot of people use gamification in learning as a bit of a novelty thing, and it doesn't always really work. So how have you guys managed to keep it really engaging?
Yeah, Paddy, it's a really good question. And I think the magic ingredients is making the storylines as close to reality as possible. We realized that our workshops need to reflect real life scenarios and real life challenges. And once you do that, the participants buy into it. We call the workshop participants the players, right? So if you hear me talking about players, it's what we refer to because they are playing that game. So for example, the storyline will start with how myself and Imtiaz met and how we pushed each other through some difficult times trying to get exams and qualifications, and how we then started Kilts and Kenty, which is our company. But then we had some financial challenges and we almost had to shut down Kilts and Kenty. So that's all real. That's all real and people buy into that. But then kind of sprinkle on the top a little bit of storytelling. So Paddy, here's a couple of questions for you, right? You as a BA, right? You hang about with BAs a lot. Does these scenarios kind of ring true to you? Bring, 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 bring.
Hello, Norman Know-it-all here. Send me for Kelson Kenty. How can I help?
Hi there, Norma. Listen, this is Anna, Analytics, the business analyst. This new priority project, I would just like to kind of pop round and just check a couple of the requirements with you, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, brilliant. Let me just check my calendar and check some availability. Okay, looking like April 2026 is looking clear. That work for you?
So you recognise that, Paddy, right? That's a typical example where your stakeholder knows they need to help, but they're never available, right? Well, what about this? What about this? Bring, 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 bring.
Hello, Victor Overlord here, CIO Kelson Kenty. What do you want?
Hi, Victor. This is Anna, Analytics, your local BA. You know that priority project that the business has now been tasked with. I'd like to pop round.
I'm CIO. You're BA. I'm paying you to do requirements. Get it done. Make it up if you need to, but don't disturb me, please.
Right? Another good example of true life, what actually happens. Okay. One more. Bring, 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 bring.
Good afternoon, Mona Lisa here from Kelson Kenty. How can I help?
Hi, Mona. It's Anna here. You know how we spent 4.5 hours yesterday firming up the requirements? I would like to just pop round and get you to sign off on them, please.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. That was a really, really good session. Really enjoyed it. But I've met with our CEO this morning, and there's been a change in direction, and we're going to have to delay it until next week where we can rediscuss it.
Oh my gosh. So these are real scenarios, Paddy, right? And in Kilts and Kenty, we have invented our world famous AI VER goggles to address these problems. Have you heard of them? They're all over the news.
I have now. Yep.
So imagine you in a room with your stakeholder. You put on the VAR goggles. They also put on the goggles, and both of you go into a virtual world. And in that virtual world, you can discuss requirements, revision A, revision B, revision C. With a swish of your finger, you can draw a prototype or a wireframe. And at the end of the session, pops out your requirements, signed and approved. How powerful is that?
Love it. Where can I buy it?
Well, they'll be in the shop soon, so just watch this. So if you take storytelling and a little bit of close to the truth, and you put the layers and layers in there, you give the players, the workshop attendees, something to connect with emotionally and physically. And when they're connected emotionally and physically, they collaborate so much better and debate so much better. So that's why storylines and storytelling is so important in the workshop.
Oh, yeah, I love that. And I remember when you guys ran some of that in the session, part of me didn't actually realize that you were making up some of this as a story. I just assumed it was all real. And then I think the bit that got me was you mentioned something about buying a Rolls Royce or something, buying a car. And I was like, they would never say that for anyone. That was the giveaway for me. No, I love that. And I totally agree. I think, even on this podcast, I've had a few guests that have really deep dived on storytelling. And every time, it just hooks me in, because as soon as somebody starts a story, as soon as people tell you something personal and you're right, your brain starts connecting with their story. And then it really creates that engagement, as you mentioned. Now, you've got some great ideas in your workshop. I've seen some really cool stuff in there. I won't give anything away just yet. But have you ever come across any bad ideas and you had to scrap them? Tell me more about those.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily bad ideas, but originally Storyline was video based. We had some videos that we used to use through the workshop, which allowed us to incorporate extra layers of detail and emotion. And one of my favorite ones actually tells a story about the project to develop our AI VR goggles. It wasn't doing well. We had a lot of problems with it. So we decided to get the whole project team into a all-paid free event at a country manor, with the idea of trying to get everybody back on track. Soon after, when everybody arrived at country manor, a body was found. Now, beside that body was a mysterious document. Soon after, everybody started to blame each other, point fingers, and start screaming and shouting. And in the corner sat Victor Overlord, who plays the CIO. He sat there quietly with his face in his hands. He suddenly stood up, grabbed a clock and smashed it on the floor. The room went silent. He then delivered a powerful speech with one single tear run down his cheek. He said, "This document should not be used to blame us, but should be used to get the project back on track and save Kilts and Kenty." Powerful storyline. I loved it, etc. But what we actually found by playing videos was it kind of disrupted the flow of the workshop. So now we do everything in person. So now it's a whole much more theatre, which is I feel is much more engaging. So for example, we were in Poland a couple of months back, and we were going through the storyline, and very much like you said there, we were telling about how Kilts and Kenty was having some financial problems, and we had to kind of remortgage our homes and stuff like that. And very much like you, I was looking about the room, and everybody was starting to get really concerned and worried. And at some stage, I actually thought they were going to do a whip around and give us a donation project back on track. It was very funny. So, we do love moving from the videos now to doing a lot more live stuff, very much like yourself, which again inspired us.
It's so good, right? Because who doesn't like to go to a good pantomime or a good stage show? Because there's just something about that live performance that pulls people. And I think it's great that you guys have incorporated that. I remember one of the bits of feedback for one of our talks was somebody put on there, they said, I wasn't sure if it was a talk, a pantomime, or something else. And that just summed it up for me because it was like, actually, that's the exact experience that we wanted people to have. We do want them to walk away and go, that was another talk at a conference. I think equally the way you guys do it, the way you get into character can really change the experience for the audience. And I'd like to explore a little bit more about kind of gamification. So we mentioned sometimes it's seen as this novel thing and people incorporate it because it's the cool thing to do, but it gets done badly. So, Imtiaz, from your perspective, like, why is gamification so powerful when done right?
So I'm going to take a step back as well when answering this question. Mm, Even at work, we bring a bit of science, right, in terms of how functionally we do our jobs, irrespective of the job we're doing. We bring a bit of heart, i.e., our emotion, our personalities, our experiences. We bring a bit of art as well, a bit of creativity, a bit of inspiration, a bit of innovation in whatever we're doing. And gamification, when you're young, is exactly that, right? It allows us to be creative, allows you to think freely, to have fun, and even just have fun and create some really interesting ideas. But often in work, we forget that. The heart and the art can disappear. And gamification is a way to almost bring that back into how we operate. Because gamification actually taps in to our basic human psychology. We're motivated by competition, achievement, rewards. And we love having fun and being creative, but sometimes it's kind of kicked out of us at work. And one thing we did as well, we did a lot of research into gamification when thinking about the concept. There was many surveys, as you'd expect, but one that we read a couple of years ago identified that gaming learning experiences increases engagement by 48% and improves knowledge retention by 30%, which I can vouch for, and I'm sure Lewis can, by virtue of watching you guys on stage as opposed to some of the other kind of speeches and workshops we'd been to. So what we tried to create is almost embody the science as we spoke about. So we include, as Lewis mentioned, the games involve an artifact and something to do, right? But critically, we've wanted to include the heart and the art in how we've designed the experience. So it isn't just a game, right? It's structured to stimulate real-world workplace dynamics where people practice persuasion, negotiation, collaboration. But critically, all in an environment that is gamified, where mistakes don't have real-world consequences. So we're hopefully combining, the best of both worlds. And as you said just a minute ago, people don't really realize it. They think they're just kind of playing, immersed in a whole experience. And the feedback we've had has been really, really powerful. And we get feedback saying we've learned a bit of the functional side, the science side, maybe a bit of, proper business case development or root cause analysis or, whatever artifacts we've kind of gone into. I know Lewis agrees with this as well, but the confidence building, the negotiation skills, the in-person skills that people then begin to think about and refine, especially as we're moving from a purely online world, is of experience since 2020. The hybrid model, the 3, 4, even 5 days a week back in the office model is now beginning to be the norm. These in-person skills are really coming to the fore and needed. And gamification really enables us to tap into a lot of that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And look, you've talked a lot there about some of the business skills that you can learn through gamification and soft skills as well. But I know, Lewis, you're particularly interested in talking about a more serious side of this approach. So would you like to share a bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, it's not all fun. Since COVID, the hybrid work environment has become very popular, right? Very common. And some people class it as the new working revolution. But with it, it brings many, many challenges. So, for example, some people working from home is a dream come true, right? Not having to travel to work, customizing your own work environment, flexible schedule, hours, working hours, few office distractions. But if you flip that, some people get isolated working from home, become lonely, right? And that's serious. That's a serious part. On the other side, some people thrive in the office environment, but since COVID is finished, they've went back to the office, and they find they find it overwhelming with all the distractions and all the interruptions they're having. And because, as you know, myself and Imtiaz, we do a lot of the BA conferences, etc. I get to speak to a lot of professionals about this, and they tell me that it's actually impacting their mental health, right? They're getting anxiety and stuff like that. And that's got to be taken seriously, right? Not a lot of people are talking about the actual impact on that. I was talking to somebody recently, actually, and they made a very, very good point that since COVID, which was almost 5 years ago, can you believe it? 5 years since COVID, that some junior professionals have actually never worked in an office environment. They've only worked since COVID in their home, right? That just blows my mind. Think about that for a couple of seconds, right? Never work in an office environment. So there is a serious side to the hybrid. A lot of people can embrace it. A lot of people want more of it, but we should take the serious side seriously.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, I remember when I started off in my career, I used to work for BT, who are a telecommunications company, all about connection. And we had a really good infrastructure for anybody to work from home. And this is like the early 2000s. And I remember saying to my manager at the time, like, can I work from home? And he actually said to me at the time, look, I've got no issues you doing it. But he said, for your own well-being, I don't think it's the right thing for you to do right now, especially because you're so new into your career. And he actually advised me to come into the office. And I'm glad he did, because I started to build these relationships, these conversations that I could never have if I was sat there at home, especially if I don't know many people in the organization either. And then later years, absolutely work from home and did the whole remote thing. So I think it is so important having that human connection. So with the murder mystery experience, how do you help teams reconnect?
It is a good question, to be honest with you, Paddy. I think one of the biggest complaints that I hear about the hybrid working environment is the dreaded silo effect, right? Or the breakdown in communications. And this is where people are no longer talking to each other, or information's no longer being shared, or teams are working on the same thing, but different ways, but get different answers, right? I mean, that's all kind of because people are remote and they're not kind of connecting together. Or, for example, another complaint that I hear is the spontaneous or lack of spontaneous connection. You know, those casual coffee chats that you have, or you're in the elevator and you have the quick elevator pitch, as they call it, or, a quick, let's have a brainstorming session, and you're sitting beside somebody. They're all kind of gradually disappearing. So myself and Imtiaz believe that our workshops bring people together in a way that feels natural and helps teams reconnect and re-energize and help them to thrive in a hybrid working environment.
And what are some of the different team challenges that you're able to address? Because I guess every team's different and they don't all face the same challenges.
I think one of our potential clients yesterday, we was talking about the silo effect, as I mentioned, right? Where it's a large group of, the team is very large and they have various different projects and products to work on, but they're so ingrained and engrossed in their own silo that they very rarely look up and talk and share ideas. And one of the key things I think about BAs, I'm hoping that everybody agrees out there, is us sharing how we, how we addressed a different challenge, or how we're struggling with this particular challenge, and sharing ideas. And I feel that the BA community helps to come together to share those ideas, right? So when people come to the workshop, they're very quickly, we've quite an innovative idea to split people up, because when people come to the workshop, they generally kind of lock hand in hand with their best workmate, but we want to get them split up very, very quickly and get them out of their comfort zones. So what we see is with the workshop, people start to break down those silos and start working as a team, as I mentioned earlier on, which I think is a good feel-good factor for myself and Imtiaz, because we're obviously at the back watching all this develop. So it's a nice, good feel-good factor.
Yeah, I've always found that when people sit down in that type of session, they always sit next to their friend or somebody that's familiar, and then they kind of latch onto them. And you think, actually, you're here with all of these great people, many of them you've never met before. Wouldn't it be great to talk to a stranger and learn something different from those people?
I'll give you just something popped into my head. Sorry, Paddy. One of the things that I have observed, and again, because we go to the conferences a lot, I'm relatively quite a chatty person, but when I'm speaking to different people, I'm saying like, why are you here? Okay, I'm here to learn, or I'm here to kind of see this particular person. But they always say I'm here to network, right? But yet there they are in the corner drinking a tea, not networking, right? Because I don't know if it's kind of a theme that I've can identified. BAs generally seem to be very slow at communicating and networking. So yeah, so if you give the BAs just a little bit of push at these workshops, away they go. It's amazing to watch.
And talking about being given that little push, when people come to the workshop, what can they expect from the experience? And Imtiaz, I'd love to pick your brains on this.
Our key driver has been fun. We've really wanted to create a fun experience where when you leave, you say, wow, fundamentally, I just had a really, really good time. As we've tried to incorporate that into everything that we do. And so that begins the minute you attempt to enter the door to the room that we're going to be in. So we have, the police tape, we have a body silhouette, and even just watching people outside the room thinking and talking to each other going, is this where it is? Can I enter? And they're beginning to talk about whether they can even enter the room. And that's what we said, right? People or our players walk in, and the first challenge, which I won't give away, is all about meeting new people, networking, but in a real fun, kind of energetic, collaborative way, not meant to be too formal. And that begins the theme. And so you walk into this room, nothing's as it seems, right? Someone has been murdered, and it's up to you, the player, and your team to solve the case. So the fun is a massive part of it, right? In the games we play are fun. But you're going to interrogate suspects. You're going to have to analyze evidence, and you're going to have to piece together clues. Work individually and work collaboratively. But here's the twist. Some people might be lying. Others may be protecting secrets. And just when you think you've cracked it, we throw curveballs in. So it's intense, it's hilarious, it's fun, it's really energetic. But it's guaranteed to shape your team dynamics and give you an experience that you can actually take back into the workplace.
Do you have a favorite part of the workshop, Imtiaz, for yourself?
That's the hard one. If I can cheat, Paddy, can I say 2?
Go on, we'll let you kick on.
Am I allowed to cheat just a little? I guess firstly, for me, it's watching people step into their personas. So no matter what your experiences are, your preferred learning style, whether you're a bit nervous coming in, we see people a little bit hesitant maybe at the beginning. Some are more naturally confident, others, hang back. And we see people as the game unfolds really embrace that persona and embrace that role. And it's fascinating to see how people develop into those personas. You see their confidence build and their individual dynamic build as well. But if I had to pick, I guess my favorite part, it's more after the event when we hear from our players and they reach out, whether it's email or, WhatsApp, all the other sort of communication channels. And they say things like, this made me rethink how I approach, for example, stakeholder conversations. And we hear from people also who don't learn well in traditional settings, whether it be the classroom, whether it be the online classroom or at school, and they've kind of maybe left college, university. And they find those lectures or those slide decks just uninspiring. And I'll read a couple of quotes to you, Paddy, if that's okay, from a couple of players and a couple of feedback that we've had. Firstly, for the first time in a workshop, I wasn't just sitting there trying to absorb information. I was part of the story, and that made the learning stick. And that last part, resonated with Lewis and I really well. Another player said, I've always struggled to speak up in meetings, but after playing analytics, one of our personas, I realized I could take control of a discussion, and now I do it in real life. So that for us is so powerful, that what we've created is a lot of fun, is gamified, but actually we're empowering people with the confidence to take what they're doing from our experience into the work. So it isn't just about having fun. It's about breaking down those learning barriers, helping people to discover confidence. And we've spoken about the return to work, back to office momentum that's gathering pace, and proving people have confidence and maybe didn't think they had, and skills they didn't believe they had. And regardless of your learning style, we all have a role to play in solving these challenges.
No, and again, super, super valuable. And as you mentioned there, the best form of feedback is when your learners are telling you that it's been transformational. And I think as facilitators, that's music to your ears. That's what we're always trying to encourage more of, is to kind of get people to immerse themselves so much into workshop, the experience, so that there will be some form of transformation at some point. And I think that's super important. And, you guys got together. You mentioned you were inspired when you went to other conferences. You could see there were gaps in the way that others were presenting. And you've just put yourselves out there. You've created like this incredible experience, this gamified experience. Where next? Like, where are you going to take this?
Again, we've got a few ideas that we're working on, but I guess critical to the experience is we don't just let teams walk away. We don't just want to end at 5 o'clock. Thanks for coming. Back to day job tomorrow. Like we've sort of alluded to, we try and help people along the journey. So we don't just let teams walk away. We provide follow-ups. So we follow up with our players, just a courtesy. How are you doing? Was it valuable? Are you using anything from the experience in work? But we have, resources, we have case studies, we have discussion prompts that we can help teams with, apply lessons in the real world. Think of it almost like a detective training academy, only instead of solving fictional murders, you're solving, real business problems. So we do offer things like advanced scenario for teams who want to level up skills over time. For example, one of our clients wanted a more engaging way to support their team's kind of long-term learning and development goals. So instead of the traditional training sessions, we've designed, monthly mini murder mystery experiences tailored to, hone in on a specific skill. For example, negotiation. And again, some feedback. If I can read a bit of feedback we've had. From one of the managers, I've never seen my team so engaged in training before. They actually look forward to these sessions. So again, gives us, I guess, the feeling that, adding real value. We're not just doing something and it's kind of, forgotten about. So I think it's proof that it really, it really, really sticks. So we're looking at, obviously, as we know, we've designed it initially, I guess, to your earlier question around, I guess, the rich in-person experience and creating that full immersive experience. But we understand now that it can be hard often to get people together.
Expensive.
Even if you're moving from, the virtual world into a hybrid or even a 5-day model. We know that geography is an issue, cost is an issue, but even in the process of people moving back into the office can take time when we know that's got a lot of issues around it. So Lewis and I have created a virtual experience that works for remote and hybrid teams. We know demand is there clearly in the marketplace. But I guess the cool thing now is with emerging technologies, we can actually create a real immersive experience using these technologies where we can have more dynamic storytelling. We can create really rich experiences where actually no two experiences are the same as well.
Oh, fantastic. And as you mentioned, human connection is so important now, especially with AI sort of really accelerating. I think more and more people are getting more dependent on AI. In some ways, it starts to reduce the number of conversations we're having with real people, even because AI is helping us with some of those tough questions that we've got. So we'd rather just look at those through technology rather than actually speaking to a real human being, which is
Wait a minute,
shame.
Paddy. Are you saying AI is not real?
Not a real person.
Is that what you're... Oh, gosh.
Well, apparently in Japan, more people are dating AI avatars than real people. So for some people out there, they're certainly thinking that. I think it is definitely real. But anyway, that's a whole maybe episode for another day now. And the time's just flown by, guys. It's been, such a pleasure talking to you about your journey, just in terms of what you've created. And I think there's so much inspiration here for other people who are looking to facilitate workshops. They don't have to be speaking out public, speaking gigs or conferences. I think in any type of experience where you're trying to get your colleagues to engage with your ideas or you're trying to create some kind of transformation, there's so much inspiration here that people could use. Lewis, how can people get in touch with you guys if someone's interested to even be part of the experience and bring the murder mystery experience to their organization? How can they do that?
If I think down below you're going to leave some links, Paddy. So
In the show notes.
So they can contact us within the links. You can contact us through LinkedIn personally if they want, or we have on our website we have a contact us page, or pigeon. They can send a pigeon if they want. But whatever way, we're waiting.
Did you say pigeon?
I did say pigeon, yes.
Okay, I thought that was a Scottish word for a minute.
No, my favourite form of communication. Never goes wrong.
Brilliant. Well, guys, thank you so much once again. I've had a great time and I'm loving your backdrops, by the way. If anyone's watching this on video, the guys have really got like these immersive wallpapers that they've created. I love the little granny with the gun. He's super cool. And the blood on Imtiaz's background. It's pretty scary as well, but please be rest assured, nobody gets hurt during the experience.
Including the pigeon. Including the pigeon.
Well, Imtiaz, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Lewis.
Thank you. Cheers, Paddy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please do connect with me via LinkedIn and drop me a message and let me know your favorite takeaways from the episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Superpower School newsletter so that you can be notified of all future episodes. Simply visit the website www.superpowers.school. Thank you once again.